We're going Chiefs, Broncos. Broncos are plus 9.5, folks. And I know the Broncos are bad, but offensively, they're bad, right? Defensively, they're one of the best units in the entire National Football League, which makes me wonder, can the Chiefs cover a 10-point spread, essentially? The Chiefs have to win by 10 in order to cover this game, and I don't know if they're capable of doing that. Not trying to diminish anything that the Chiefs have done. They're one of the best offenses. They average 29 points per game, but the Denver defense allows just 17 points per game. Yeah, I know the Denver offense only scores 14, and they haven't scored 17 points or more in the United States since October 2nd against the Raiders, which was a loss. But I mean, if the Chiefs score 24, all that the Broncos have to score is 13, and they've done that pretty consistently this season, scoring one touchdown and doing the rest. The Broncos have played in 12 games this season. They have 14 touchdowns, so averaging just over one touchdown a game. Give me a couple more field goals. I think the Broncos can cover this spread. Coming into this, though, a few trends that make me lean Kansas City. Denver's just 1-4 against the spread at home this season and 10-12 against the spread since the start of the 2020 season. So we all talk about that mile-high home field advantage, that the air's thinner, it's harder, the home field advantage is different in Denver. That isn't true. That's a fake narrative that I think Denver Bronco fans try to tell themselves to sleep better at night as they're stroking the picture of Russell Wilson in a Seahawks jersey, because that's the Russell Wilson they thought they were going to get now that he has only thrown 8 touchdowns and he has, 12 bathrooms in his house. If you haven't seen that on TikTok, go check it out on TikTok. Someone's tracking the amount of touchdowns Russell Wilson has thrown compared to the amount of bathrooms in his new Denver home. Absolutely hilarious. Denver's also 0-10 against the spread against teams who force 1 turnover or less per game. The Chiefs only force 1 turnover per game and actually have a negative turnover differential on the season, -4 in the turnover department on the season for the Kansas City Chiefs. But for some odd reason, Denver does not play well against defenses that aren't opportunistic. What it tells me is when a defense is forcing 1 turnover or less, they're not forcing the issue. They're playing back in their zones, they're playing back in man, and they're letting you get in the yards, but they're going to make the stops when it comes up. They're going to get the timely sack. They're going to do something big. And they're just not going to be opportunistic and try and jump routes and rack up the interceptions, which tells me that's how Denver normally feasts. And the fact they're 0-10 against the spread against defenses that kind of force them to play their game, they don't do well. And this season included, they don't do well since the start of last season. Worth noting, though, Kansas City is 2-4 against the spread when favored by 3.5 to 10.5, 10-18 since the start of 2020. The Chiefs have been big-time favorites a lot in the Patrick Mahomes era, and that leads you to have a bad record against the spread. And I think this is one of those games that the Chiefs should win, should dominate, but I don't know if they're going to dominate and win by a final score of 10. Andy Reid, though, is 13-2 against the spread in road games versus bad teams. The value here, I truly believe, is on Denver. Only 32% of the public is on Denver against the spread. I got to go Denver to cover. And I know what I just said about the home field advantage not being a real thing. Kansas City performs really well in road games against bad teams in the Andy Reid era. I know everything I said. Denver's 0-10 against the spread. There's nothing really here to make me go, yes, I'm all over the Broncos. And yet I'm going Broncos plus 9.5. I have faith in their defense. This is what my thinking is, right? The Denver defense should be able to hold Kansas City to 24 points. Is it out of the realm of possibility for me to expect the Broncos to score 13 points? I don't think so. I think the Broncos defense, which is one of the best units in the NFL, will have themselves a good game and they'll be able to cover the spread against the Chiefs. I don't feel great about it, but I feel good enough to make that pick.